Hey guys, it's Lisa and it's June 17th, 2013. I haven't made a video for about a month now, if not over a month, and I just haven't really wanted to. I haven't felt like editing, I haven't felt like speaking. I just didn't feel like doing anything on camera. You'll notice I'm a little nasally and a little, I don't know, maybe you won't, and I just woke up so that doesn't help, but I'm a little nasally and I've got some phlegm in my throat and such. I just got over a cold. I think I still have somewhat of an infection, but I mean, I've been saying for the last few days that I was going to make my update video and my review video, and I haven't been able to because of the nasaliness. So I just said, you know what, nasaliness. I really want to make an update video, and the longer I wait, you know, it's not going to get done. And so here I am. I look like I just woke up. I'm kind of tired. It's 7:22 in the morning. I went to bed early last night because I wasn't feeling well. One thing is, I gained back the weight I lost during the quest to weigh less. As you knew, near the end, I was already going back to a lot of treats, sweets, candy, stuff like that. I did that for a while, and then I kind of went back and forth between eating lots of fruits, vegetables, smoothies, salads, whatever, but it was never long enough. And so I've decided I'm going to go back to trying to lose weight. However, I don't think I'm going to document it the way I did last time, very in depth and such. Maybe it's that I don't necessarily believe that I'll stick to it. However, I gotta start believing in myself somewhere, so starting in the first place, that's a good start. I went to the doctor to get those tests done. I don't know if anybody remembers the last few videos I was talking about having to go to the doctor to get tests done, the CT scan, and a pap smear test, and blood tests. The pap smear test came back clean. The blood tests were fine. The only thing was that my doctor found out that I had IBS, and he found out that I have a fatty liver. And what does that mean, a fatty liver? A fatty liver means that my body is at a point where there's so much stress on the liver, there's so much weight on my body that now the fat is accumulating on the liver. And so if I start losing weight, most importantly, fat, the liver will start to shed that fat as well. When I first found out, I was very upset, but not shocked. And the thing is that I knew I had to do something, but I didn't feel like it. I constantly keep thinking that if I stop eating the treats and the desserts and the whatever, then I'm never going to get to have it again. It's a weird mentality, this binge eating disorder. It really, I don't mean weird necessarily like, oh wow, that person's weird. I mean like, it's almost mysterious, you know. One minute you feel like you're on top of the world and you're able to eat extremely clean for a while, and then you go on this long month, 2-month bender of sorts for food, and you're eating anything and everything, and you want to stop eating that way, but at the same time, the flavors, the way the food makes you feel. My issue, I think, is allowing food to have that control over me. I should be able to say if I'm happy or if I'm sad. I choose that. And I do most of the time. It's just that when I want that food, I want it. Like, I want to tell you guys that I'm going to eat 100%, you know, raw, or maybe like vegan, or 100% perfect. However, I know that, or I don't necessarily know because I don't know the future, but I imagine, like right now I'm already thinking, oh, I want smoothies. And then next thing you know, I'm thinking, oh, potatoes, which aren't so bad. They're still a vegetable. And then next thing you know, I'm thinking, McLobster, you know, like, I don't know. So my head, as soon as I start thinking about food and making the vlogs, that doesn't help when I'm talking about the foods I'm eating and such, because I create my own cravings. I know a lot of people who won't watch TV just simply because of commercials, we watch Netflix, and I'll tell you, even though I watch Netflix, there's still food in the movies and the TV shows that we're watching. Pizza, home-cooked meals, and such, and I don't know, it just, one thing though, my husband and I have always been like a disaster in the kitchen. I want to do one thing one way, he wants to do it another. And lately we just, like, randomly, because I like to cook extremely healthy when I'm cooking. My husband likes to cook healthy sometimes, but other times he really likes fat content and very rich flavors, which a lot of people do, but I can handle both. I can handle bland. I'm not saying that necessarily I cook bland, but I can handle bland, and I can handle rich flavors. And so, however, my husband really doesn't like bland. He will literally slather something in ketchup if he thinks it's too bland. Lately, him and I have been getting together in the kitchen without arguing, which is awesome, and we'll both put our touch, I guess, into what we're cooking. And so I think that's really awesome that we've been cooking together. We even kind of talked about once we get our house and we have more space and a nice stove with a nice backdrop and such, that we might start making cooking videos together on YouTube. So we'll see how that goes. That'll probably be in a couple years though. So, but I think that would be awesome. And especially since we're going to get lots of practice between now and then. I imagine. You know, I can't say for sure, we could lose that interest. I've come to quite a few realizations since stopping videos. In the time that I was gone, I read Osho's book called Joy, The Happiness from Within. And that book resonated with me on so many levels. Not every level, but so many. The levels, let me start out talking about the levels it didn't resonate with me on. Osho states that we should put down anything that distracts us, such as television or anything. What he fails to see, in my opinion, is that just because one person thinks that TV isn't good for everyone or that TV is causing the degradation of society, it does not mean that TV is like that. I'm sorry, that's just the same mentality as somebody saying that everybody must eat one way and one way only. And to make everybody on this planet follow something that necessarily isn't in their heart, I don't agree with that. I'm just glad I have my own autonomy and can make my own decisions and not allow something to influence me like that if it's not in my heart. And so, you know, not watching TV, meditating more, he says something in the book where he's like, meditate just by doing what you love. Basically, I don't know if those are the exact words, but basically you're living your dream and your passion, and it just feels natural. It doesn't feel forced, so you are thereby living in meditation. And so he goes on further saying, oh, well, meditate instead of the TV. But isn't it true that some people enjoy the TV so much that they are in a meditative state? So why take that away from people? Not to mention the other side of the coin. I know a lot of people think it's wrong that these stars are making millions of dollars, and I'm not saying that I agree. But I will say this, these stars that are in these movies and these television series, they enjoy that. Most of them, or some of them, I imagine. They don't just do it because they want all that money, every single one of them. Some of them, I imagine, have a passion for acting. So you stop watching the TV and you stop watching movies, and then all of a sudden, those people are no longer living their passion. Sure, they can go do Broadway, they can do whatever, and it may not be the same to them. So why are there people writing books saying to stop watching TV, stop doing this, it's filling everybody's minds with mush? I'm sorry, but my mind is not mush. I have passions, and part of those passions are to watch some television shows. It sparks my creativity. I get ideas. I learn things. I don't necessarily allow myself to be influenced by what I'm watching. If something resonates with me, sure, I will do it, or I will start doing that, or I'm already doing it, and I'll just get more ideas. I just can't understand what makes all these gurus and all these people say, yes, we need to be free, we need to have freedom, but the only way you can be free is by stopping watching TV and stopping playing your video games and stop this and stop that. Those are other people's passions. So I guess if it's your passion to tell people to stop doing things, I guess that's your right. However, here's my passion. I'm going to tell people to stop telling people what to do. Okay, that's one thing. And I guess I'm telling people what to do now. But you know what? I am intelligent enough to realize that when I say that, I am being a hypocrite. There are many people out there that don't realize when they say things how hypocritical they're being. For instance, Facebook is, in my eyes, from what I see, one of the #1 places to be hypocritical. And people are constantly posting things on there. I've had friends get mad at me on Facebook about statuses that I've posted. One of the statuses in particular referred to a couple of my friends on Facebook. I see it more times than not. Not just with a couple of friends that sparked my, wow, why do people do that? Bone, I guess. The fact is that someone will post either a status or they will post a photo or a picture quote about something that they agree with or that they're passionate about, or so you think. And so you feel like you're getting to know these people online through their posts, or you hope, because that's all I would hope for, is authenticity. And I know a lot of people say you can't get that on Facebook, but I have a few friends that I have authentic relationships with, so I know they exist on Facebook. Now, so a friend posts something, and say it's about being completely honest with everyone, no matter what. You'd rather hear honesty than lies. The next thing you know, somebody below it is posting about how honest people are cruel or mean, and so there's a huge generalization there. And yeah, I can come off as cruel when I'm honest, but I'll tell you this, I'm the first person out of anybody I know that if I'm honest, seconds later, I will show empathy, or minutes later, or whatever. I always try to empathize. I don't just leave something at, oh my God, I can't stand you, that's that, I'm blocking and deleting you. And a lot of people do that. And I used to do that, so I understand where that comes from. But if we're trying to come together instead of divide and conquer, wouldn't you want to talk things out to conflict resolution rather than staying in conflict? That's something you need to ask yourself. And so somebody asks, or somebody said that about being honest. All honest people are cruel. And, people should keep things to themselves, and they should only say stuff when necessary. Apparently there are necessary times. Who chooses that? We do. And the thing is that I could understand somebody saying that about a person who is always cruel and leaves everything in limbo, leaves it constantly up in the air instead of dealing with the issue, instead of seeking it out to conflict resolution. However, to say that all honest people are cruel, I am not a cruel person. My tone may come out a certain way, but that is perception. I'm saying it because the way I say things is because I'm passionate about them. And if I'm going to be passionate about something, whether it's on the negative spectrum or the positive spectrum. I'm a realistic person. I don't feel like if we get rid of all negativity, it's going to stop anybody from doing anything. You can say you're getting rid of negativity, but what you're really doing is you're repressing. You're repressing. Yes, I understand. Okay, but what about if everybody stops being negative? I can guarantee you that some of the people in that group are going to be repressing feelings. Not everyone agrees. A lot of people look at when people don't agree with them, that's a negative thing. So, of course, you're going to have people on this planet in the universe that are trying to convince everybody that their way is right. So the only way you can really be positive with people, it seems, is if you agree with everything they say. If you disagree, I've noticed on Facebook and in person, they get upset and they don't want to talk to you anymore. They want to block and delete you. I just had that happen. Somebody posted that one of the quotes that I made up on Facebook sounded like it was from Abraham Hicks. And so I took that as them saying, that I already knew this quote, that, I must have copied it or something, because there was no, this quote is good. Not saying that I needed the validation, but and then they I don't know, it just didn't come out the way it was meant to. And so they explained to me further once I got defensive. And so what? People get defensive. It doesn't mean you have to run away and stop talking to them. Did you ever think that part of the reason why wars and stuff get started is because people are ignored and people are not allowed to have their say? That's not necessarily a good thing. Let people have their say. I mean, I wasn't totally invested in this person anyway, so it didn't extremely hurt, but the fact is that if I felt something, I'm allowed to feel, I'm allowed to judge, I'm allowed to notice. We're all human. But when somebody denies me of that, and they even say that they aren't doing it, yet they were in the first place, because why block and delete someone if you're not judging that they're not as good as you, or they judge and you don't, so you can't be friends with that person. I mean, in my own life, there's been people that I haven't connected with. I totally understand that. If you don't like that status, tell me. That's great. But to be passive-aggressive about it and such, I don't know. I just feel like losing people can be hurtful. However, at the same time, I'm not going to stop being me. I'm not going to back down. This is who I am. I'm an honest individual. Oh, and then on top of that, when that person writes status or puts up a picture, and then there was the cruel, honest people are cruel, I wrote back to that, and I was quite upset about that comment. Not all honest people are cruel. And what is your definition of cruel? Is it cruel in that moment? Are you saying that person is cruel indefinitely, no matter what they do, whether they're happy, whether they're sad? A person can be upset in one moment, but happy in the next. To say that a person is always mean or always nice, I honestly don't know if that can be a true statement. I haven't seen it. I see people who say they are always nice, who aren't, in my opinion. Then I see people who are constantly acting mean. I don't know if I've ever heard anyone say I'm always mean, but I do see people who constantly act mean for the most part. But you'll always see that somewhere in there, there's that soft side. There's something nice about them. So nothing is ever clear-cut. You know, sure, history books tell us that there were evil people out there, that were always evil. There was never niceness in them. We don't know. We weren't there. So don't take history as your starting point. Take your experience as your starting point. Don't take some textbook as your starting point. Well, at least that's my philosophy. Now, so I spoke up and said, you know, I must be the cruelest person, around, because I'm honest a lot of the time. And I do that in my statuses. I do that in person. If I can't talk to somebody in person, you can very well bet if I am resenting you for something, it's going to be put on Facebook. Your name is not going to be shown because I'm not in the business of putting people down by name. And it's not that I'm putting them down. That's what they think. That's why I said putting people down. It's that I'm venting. This is what I would say to you, to your face. But a lot of people don't even want to hear it to their face. And then they don't want to see it. So it's like, are you censoring me? Are you censoring me from saying things that you may not want to hear? That's not fair. We all have freedom of speech. And just because I complain about something or I talk about how something hurt me or I'm venting, the only reason I can see somebody getting defensive is if it really affected them because they think it's true. The person who posted the picture then liked the statement that the person made about how the honest people are the cruelest people. I'm like, wow, okay, so in essence what you are saying is that you feel that when people are honest with you, they're really cruel. But yet you just posted that you'd rather people be honest with you than give you a sugar-coated lie. Okay, so now you've just told everybody, if they have noticed this, that you don't want them to be honest with you because now you do believe, like that person wrote, that people who are honest are the cruelest people. So, and in essence, if you are saying you're an honest person, you are now calling yourself cruel. So if somebody gets upset about being called cruel, you might want to empathize with them because after I wrote a status saying that this person was hypocritical, by doing that, they unfriended and blocked me. So that, in essence, is the exact same thing that you said you didn't want to do. You wanted honesty rather than a sugar-coated lie, and I was honest. I did not name names of that person. I didn't name names specifically for the fact that this isn't the only person I've ever seen do this. There are a lot of people, even like people in the raw food industry and such, that do that. They will write a status or they will post something, and then 2 minutes later they're writing something completely opposite without even realizing it. And as I said in that status, that's absolutely amazing if that's what feels good, because sometimes our minds change within seconds. So that's great. But when I actually confronted this person, they said, it's because I like the fact that other people have opinions. So when I write on their statuses and such, and I don't get a like back, oh, does that mean you don't like my opinion or other people's? Don't lie to yourself and don't lie to me, because I will see right through it. I used to be a liar. I tend to fib sometimes, even now, when I'm trying to retract myself from things. So you know what? You can't get one past me. I can see it. I have intuitive abilities when it comes to bullshit. So that's why I don't have a lot of friends, I imagine, because people know that I'm going to call them out on things that I notice. And I would expect the same from really good friends. It doesn't mean that we have to let that take over our own self-esteem and let that control us. You say, you ask yourself, like when I have conversations with people that don't like what I'm saying, and we try to talk things through to conflict resolution, I've been told that it doesn't feel like conflict resolution. It feels like we're just stuck, not getting anywhere. But that's the point. You keep going until you get unstuck. And I know it may seem like forever for some people, because some personalities just don't mesh well, and that's cool. There's no connection. So there's no need to have that person as an enemy. I don't feel. I wouldn't look at somebody like that as an enemy. I just look at it that I can't be comfortable around you right now. Maybe that will change. So let's be acquaintances, There's no reason to ever hate anyone in my eyes, or to ever let them out of your life, unless they want to go. If they want to be let go, that's different. You're not going to chase them and be a stalker and such. For me, I will always, if someone blocks and deletes me, I will rack my brain and I will try to find them somewhere. And sure, a lot of people are like, wow, that's kind of stalker-like. But the issue is that you need to let people say what they want to say. You need to let, there's nothing more frustrating when a person says, this is the end of the conversation, and then blocks and deletes you. No, it's not. The people that you were arguing with and that have an opinion just like you've now stopped them from voicing how they feel, because you think that what they say is going to affect you and you're going to cry and you're going to whatever. You can choose to take criticism, good or bad, in whatever way you'd like. But for me, to be less dramatic, I would rather take it that it's just an opinion. It doesn't necessarily define me. And so when I do that, when I step outside of that opinion, sure, it hurts like hell sometimes. However, I can guarantee you that I feel a lot better a few days later after the resentment is out. So let people say what they want to say, whether it be on Facebook. I know there's a lot of people out there that don't think Facebook is a viable way to be honest. That's your opinion. I've had very honest communications on Facebook, and I've sought them out to the end. So anybody who tells you that honesty can't be had on Facebook, they're lying. I see that honesty can be sought out on the telephone. It can be sought out in person, on Skype, on Facebook, even on Twitter, in a tiny 140-letter status. You can get out a little bit there. Everything you say, if you're an authentic person, is going to come out honestly, whether people like it or if it offends them or whatever. Honesty is that. Honesty is uncomfortable. Honesty is great. Honesty brings people closer, and sure, I've noticed in my experience that it also brings them apart. But if a friend is a good enough friend, they're going to stay with you through your honesty, and that's that. They're going to see through the anger, and they're going to know that in the end, you don't hate them, you still love them. When I'm honest about my friends, I don't hate them. I resent them for what I'm being honest about, but I love them dearly. And if anybody ever thinks just because I'm being honest or criticizing or judging or noticing or proceeding or whatever it is, and they think that their self-esteem is not on par so much that they think that I actually hate them because of one thing that is bothering me, or maybe a few things, I don't hate anybody. I'm a very loving individual, and I will be the first to admit that I have anger issues. And that doesn't mean we stop being friends with people who have anger or aggression in their voice. Those are all perceptions. underneath all that hard exterior of having to go through a lot of shit growing up, I'm a very caring, loving person. Ask my family. We wouldn't be as close as we are if it weren't for how honest we are with each other, especially with me encouraging it as of late, you know, and anybody who's my close friend who's stuck through, you know I can understand that it would be really hard to be around someone who's constantly honest. But if you step outside of their honesty and just like take it as a grain of salt and realize that they don't define you, I don't define people, then it's different. It's totally different. You can see the objective criticism through other eyes, and that's just how it works. And so negative and positive, who cares? We're just here to live and to connect and to grow. And I feel, in my experience, the best growth has come from being honest and from learning who my real friends are. If somebody can't stay with you through your anger and through your upsetness, then they weren't really there for you to begin with. They're only there for you conditionally when you're happy. And I'm not that kind of person. I can be there for someone when they're happy, when they're angry, when they're sad, when they're upset. When I was younger, I wasn't like that. I would let people go on the drop of a hat. I didn't understand. I've grown. And so I encourage you to be honest about something. Just one thing today. Anything. I mean, of course, I still think about people's feelings. So I do have a hard time myself, even coming out and saying something on Facebook or even in person. It's hard because I don't want to offend. My intention isn't to offend. My intention is to get out of my head. And in order to do that, I need to let things out so that people can see that. And then they can either set me straight if I'm wrong, or we can have an authentic communication, and that's all I look for. So I know that it's hard, so maybe find a constructive way to say it. I don't always, in other people's eyes, find constructive ways to say how I'm feeling. I'm very blunt and blatant. If you want to be blunt and blatant, I encourage you to do that. Not that you need my permission. Just do it.